A few months ago, one of my viewers sent me a DM saying they found a low-budget ripoff of The Breakfast Club, but turned into a horror movie and that I had to make a video about it because nobody else has. Now, I'm usually pretty skeptical when anyone recommends me a bad comedy horror movie, because oftentimes these movies are just intentionally bad. But this is not one of those times. I know it probably sounds like I'm exaggerating because it's YouTube and every statement needs to be the most extreme version of itself possible. That way it matches the face in the thumbnail. But this is probably the worst written movie I have ever seen. It's not very scary, and it's also not very funny. But that kind of ends up making it hilarious. But my biggest problem with the writing is the ending, which obviously I can't really talk about now. So first, we'll talk about the movie. So this movie starts out with 5 high school students who are on their way to Saturday detention, which of course is in a prison. It's the typical unlikely group trope because I don't think any of these characters have anything in common besides the fact that they all unfortunately agreed to do this movie. There's Barrett, who's the stereotypical pretty boy. Jessica, the goody two-shoes. Lexi, the harlot.
Just because he sees what's in the vending machine doesn't mean he's getting any candy.
Whatever, she just gets off on the attention.
How do you know what gets me off?
And then there's Kevin, who bedazzled his Bible on the bus, and Taylor, the skater girl who doesn't speak for like 20 minutes, and then she talks normally the rest of the movie. Then there's this security guard slash bus driver who weirdly just keeps staring at this shrine he has set up next to him. I mean, he is really staring at this thing. At one point, he starts swerving into the wrong lane. Look, I get it. You have a couple brewskis before your shift. It's Saturday, so no one's even going to be at school, so you're just going to kick back, relax, maybe work on your shrine a little bit, and then all of a sudden, your twin brother who's supposed to drive the bus gets arrested, and they're saying it's because he was having inappropriate conversations with a minor, but he would never do something like that. I've known him my whole life. He would never do something like that.
Wanna cuff me, Hall Cop?
Oh my god. Anyways, I was wondering why detention was being held at a prison and not, a school, and I promise you, you will not be able to guess why they are at a prison.
As we informed you and your parents, the school is being fumigated for an unfortunate and potentially rabid possum infestation.
A possum infestation. Honestly, I'm not totally convinced that this movie was always supposed to be a comedy. Like, this line feels like a joke because it's such a random thing to say, but the music in the background is pretty ominous. So it really feels like they're kind of trying to be serious. I don't know. All I'm saying is that for some reason, right before they released this movie, they changed the name of it from The Detained to Deadly Detention, which to me kind of feels like too many people were laughing during those test screenings and they had to make an emergency pivot. In reality, that's probably almost certainly not true, but I'm gonna go with it. I've escaped the void to tell you about today's sponsor, Clover. Clover is a financial app that lets you access your paycheck early with no interest, no credit checks, and no hidden fees. One time when I was in college, I had just spent nearly every dollar I had to my name on deposits so that I could rent a house with my friends the next year. And the funniest thing happened because the very next day, my car's brakes stopped working. They were working fine when I had all of my money, but then when I had none, they left me. It was awesome, and it was perfectly timed so that I had no money and I wouldn't for 2 weeks until I got paid. But with Clover, that situation would have been much simpler and much less stressful because I simply could have used their app to access up to $400 of my next paycheck. And it certainly would have been much better than the alternatives, which have predatorily high interest rates or large hidden fees. So whatever your case might be, if Clover sounds like a service that could help you out, just click the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen to sign up and let them know that I sent you. And thank you to Clover for sponsoring this part of the video. I shall now return to the void. Now, another questionably intentional but definitely absurd detail is what they have to do as punishment during this detention.
Due to the unfortunate
Permanent self-injury
of your fellow classmate Jenny Duke last spring, you are all going to write an 800-word essay entitled The Me You Don't See.
That is pretty insane, and I honestly don't think it's a joke. I can't get into details, But I think this is legitimately what they thought was the best way to introduce this girl's death to the plot of the movie. Also, I should mention this is their principal, Miss Presley, who decides to go read smut while they're writing their essays. And then she gets turned on by it and starts snooping through Barrett's phone for pictures.
Hello.
You know, didn't expect her to be a pedophile, but it's okay because she is murdered almost immediately after.
Oh God! Oh God! No! Open this door! Open this door! Let me in! Let me in! No! Please, no! Stop! Oh God! Oh God!
Also, not really important to the plot, but they continuously reference a giant pool of blood in the floor, but never show it.
Sweet baby Jesus. I don't do bodily fluids.
Let's go.
This is not okay.
Was $10 for a jug of fake blood too much? Was that not in the budget? If you're making a horror movie, I feel like that is the first thing in the budget, maybe the only thing in the budget. Now the group is split on whether this is real or some elaborate scheme.
There is a ghost.
Guys, there is no such thing as ghosts.
You're right. It's not a ghost. It's Presley. She's messing with us.
You might have a point, Lexi.
I do have a point.
On one hand, they couldn't actually see Presley getting murdered, and once they got through the door, which was locked, the body was gone.
She's not there.
On the other hand, there's a creepy demon on the intercom and a giant pool of blood, which I'm assured is definitely there.
I am your new principal.
That is not a ghost. That's some nut who also has control over all the doors.
Wait, I'm just realizing, are they supposed to be Scooby-Doo? Lexi is obviously Daphne, Barrett is Fred, Jessica is Velma, and Taylor's probably Shaggy. So Kevin is Scooby? That's gotta be racist, yeah? I don't know, feels a little bit racist. Anyways, the gang decides to follow a blood trail to try and find Presley, and they're still pretty unconvinced any of this is real.
Okay, this feels like a setup. Let's just call her bluff.
Until they find the body.
Holy crap.
Guys, wait. Someone should say something. You knew her best.
Presley was a piece of crotch rot. I freaking hated her. And standing over her dead, twisted waste of a middle-aged body has been my soft, wet fantasy for the last 3.5 years.
So it is in fact not an elaborate plot. That lady is dead, and they're all quite sad about it. But might I remind you, she was a predator who wanted to fuck Barrett. So maybe this was a good thing. Anyways, let's check back in with the gang and see how they're handling it. And Lexi's fucking Barrett.
He's really coming around.
Okay. It's alive.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for reviving me.
Yeah, so what happened is that Barrett got electrocuted, and the only way to save him was Lexi to sit on his lap and make out with him, which I think a lot of people don't realize is actually just very common practice for an injury like this. Actually, one time my grandfather was hanging Christmas lights and one of the bulbs was broken, and so he got electrocuted, and then I had to go and let's just talk about the movie, please. At this point, they start wandering through the jail looking for the exit like it's an IKEA. And it comes out that apparently all 5 of them were framed for whatever thing it was that got them detention.
Graffiti on the gym wall. Wait, that was you that put Jesus ate my homework in pink and gold sparkle in the gym? What do you think? No. They found the spray paint and the glitter in my locker.
They found a bottle of vodka in my locker in the locker suite. Only wasn't mine, wasn't even my brand.
One day the volleyball nets were slashed and someone said I was the last one leaving the gym the night before. I would never damage school property.
Someone called me a tranny and I punched her in the face.
So you were framed too, huh?
No. I punched her.
Now, yes, this is a pretty important part of the plot, but I'm too distracted and I need to ask, why are they slowly sidestepping down this hallway? Did they run out of filming locations and this was the best solution they had? I genuinely don't know because this looks dumb as hell. Is it stupider than what happens immediately after it? No, probably not. So after being extremely careful in what I would describe as an extremely safe hallway, they show remarkably less caution by charging into this very dark and scary staircase. And then what do you know? The demon's there. I don't know why they thought the exit to this 2-story building was on the 2nd floor. But look, there's a lot more stupid stuff that happens, so we don't have time to talk about all of it. Like when they run away from the demon into this small office, which starts filling with gas, Jessica uses her jacket to try and block the gas. But we do not have time to talk about why Kevin offers his hat.
My hat! My hat!
What's next, Kevin? Should we try your TikTok shop sneakers? And then when they escape this small office by crawling into the ceiling, we do not have time to talk about why there is 6 feet of room above the ceiling. We simply just can't talk about it. Instead, what we can talk about is that Taylor's shoe got stuck, and then the demon starts randomly stabbing through the ceiling, and then, one thing leads to another. Honestly, kinda deserved to die if you ask me. She had the survival instincts of a can of tomato soup. Here's an idea, why didn't you take the shoe off? It was clearly untied. Plus, I don't think the thing skaters are known for is having extremely well-tied shoes. And I think given the 6 warning shots the demon gave, you probably had enough time to figure it out. Another crazy idea, and I'm just kind of spitballing here, what if you stood up? Sure, you do still risk getting stabbed in the foot, to which I would direct you to my previous comments, but I still would argue that's better than dying via anal stabbing. Now, the others did manage to get away by diving through the ceiling like a foot away. And I know this sounds pretty stupid that I want to emphasize this, but that would lead you to believe that they're probably now lying on the floor right next to the demon who is stabbing the ceiling. So tell me how Jessica and Kevin end up in this random cell block with the demon nowhere to be seen, and then Barrett and Lexi end up in the center of a cafeteria. They were like 4 feet apart. Anyways, it turns out that the demon, who again, they were just right above, is not actually right next to them, but somewhere nearby and is coming after them. But it's also really unclear if that's really close or really far away, because seemingly no one making this movie had any sense of spatial awareness. And while all this is happening, what do you think Lexi and Barrett are up to?
Got any last wishes? Got any last wishes?
Actually, for what it's worth, the insane juxtaposition between what Jessica and Kevin are going through and what Barrett and Lexi are going through is kind of hilarious.
It's like all that stupid stuff they say on Oprah.
You haven't been looking at my cookie jars.
How you doing, man?
Okay, keep going. Don't stop.
No! Dead end.
No!
You want to do it again?
Hashtag YOLO.
Now, in the midst of all of this, they try to have a somewhat serious moment between Jessica and Kevin, but I just can't respect Kevin with those stupid ass shoes, and I don't like Jessica enough to care.
I haven't made him proud yet.
You haven't made who proud of you yet? My dad.
Thankfully, we don't have to deal with that for much longer because Bling Bling Boy decides to go rogue because he can't keep up with Jessica's running and then gets killed. Unfortunately, we do still have to deal with Lexi and Barrett, who are still fucking.
Oh, so freaking hot.
Eventually, they stop once Jessica finds them, but honestly, with the way this movie was going, I kind of thought they were going to ask her to join in. Fuck it, maybe get the demon involved, the bus driver, maybe he wants to watch. But no, instead, Jessica blames Kevin's death on them.
It is all your fault. Do you even care that Kevin's dead? And if just for 1 second you had thought about anything other than getting off, he would still be here.
Which is kind of crazy because it's kind of completely her fault because she kept running away from him. And then, they get in a little fight. Barrett calls the girl he just had sex with a slut.
You're a slut. I, in fact, have personal experience to back this observation up.
Ooh, not a good look. But it's okay because then he dies.
Haters gonna hate, but Barrett's always great. Jessica, I've always been a dick. So, at least I'm honest, right?
Oh my god. Oh my god, his face. He just wanted to die hot. And he looks awful.
So for some reason, now down 60% of their original group, they decide they're no longer looking for the exit, but instead, they're gonna fight the demon.
When we find that a-hole, we're gonna fork him up.
All right.
Kind of a good call, because I really didn't think you had a snowball's chance in hell of finding the exit on the second floor. I just think maybe we should have made that call before over half the group was dead. Now, despite being unable to find any of the numerous exits on this building, they are immediately able to find the warden's office where the demon is.
This is fun. Aren't we having fun today, ladies? I know I sure am.
Now here's where it gets crazy. This is the big twist. Because they sneak up to the office and they look inside and they see a shrine. Whoa! Who saw that coming? I certainly didn't find it suspicious that literally the only other character in this movie had disappeared while all these weird things were happening. So Lexi and Jessica attack the guy, but instead of stabbing him with that grill fork, which was their whole plan, Lexi just jumps on his back, which obviously does absolutely nothing, and then he kicks the shit out of her and beheads Jessica. Please don't ask how he managed to control that door. I know he's been magically controlling doors this whole time, which made sense when we thought he was a demon and now makes no sense now that we know he's just a guy and all the controls are in that other room. But the writers didn't think about that. So don't ask. So he doesn't actually kill Lexi right away. Instead, he does that thing where the villain explains their whole plot.
I'm just some invisible nobody to you people. Do you know how hard it is to sneak 50 opossums into a public high school? It's pretty ingenious, you have to admit. It was me who made sure you all got detention. I made sure all of you narcissistic, hateful brats were under one roof with no way out and no one else around.
And just like every great movie, they stuffed the last 10 minutes with as many plot points as possible. That shrine, well, that's his daughter, who's the girl who killed herself. And apparently, she was being bullied.
She was a delicate little flower. And you bullied her.
So he framed all of these kids so that they'd get Saturday detention. And then he filled the school with possums so that Saturday detention would get moved to the prison. I feel like it kind of falls apart a little bit there. Also, you're trying to convince me that Kevin was her bully. The rest of them, maybe I could see it, but not Kid Bop Jason Derulo. And then finally, he goes to kill Lexi, but then she reveals her locket, which somehow has a picture of her and his daughter in it.
Where did you get this?
Jenny was my best friend.
You're a liar. This is Jenny's locket. You stole it.
She gave it to me. I didn't know it was a goodbye gift.
Because apparently they were best friends? They're best friends, but her dad has no clue who you are? But look, that little plot line that they let simmer for maybe 4 minutes, yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't actually matter at all.
She told me her father had a real temper problem.
She checked out of hotel abusive father, aka her life.
This would be a crazy twist if we cared at all about that plotline. There is literally more screen time dedicated to Lexi and Barrett fucking than there is this girl's death. Kevin spends more time fixing the lights on his shoes than we talk about this girl. They literally only mention it once, and that was the beginning of the movie when they're being assigned that essay, which is why I don't think that was a joke at all. That was legitimately them trying to set up a pretty important detail in the plot. But look, none of this matters because we know the movie is bad, so let's just see Lexi die.
Shut up, please! Shut up!
Lexi.
Yeah, the fucking principal comes back from the dead and saves her. They were clearly going for some unexpected ending, but that doesn't work if it's only unexpected because it directly contradicts something that happened earlier in the movie. Her throat is visibly slit in that kitchen scene, enough to where they make a comment about it. But now miraculously, she's practically unharmed. Also, for some reason, they dub over her saying shit.
You look like hell.
Yeah.
That part doesn't really matter, but I just noticed it and it's kind of weird. I don't know why they did that. And then for the cherry on top, they decide to not only contradict that one moment, but they contradict the entire movie in the final 10 seconds.
Considering old Pete did such a bang-up job of offing me, I took the liberty of checking a couple of pulses. I'm not saying they're going to look cute come picture day, but they won't look dead.
You tracked down everybody? Taylor was stabbed in the ceiling. Why were you looking there? Also, they all survived? Jessica got fucking beheaded and now she's gonna walk that one off? Now, I'm not gonna pretend I'm a film critic with a wealth of knowledge, but if I could speak critically for a minute, this is what I meant when I said this is the worst written movie I have ever seen. The whole point of a movie is to tell a story and to feel the emotions. Like as a viewer, I'm giving you 90 minutes of my attention because I want to be entertained. But to make any story engaging and interesting, you need to take the viewer on a journey. Like you have to set stakes and then build tension, and then at the end, you resolve that tension, right? It's the resolution of that tension, the answering of those questions that makes any good movie so enjoyable. And these things aren't independent of each other, they build on each other. But what happened here is at the end of the movie, they just removed the stakes. Lexi didn't narrowly escape death. Nobody died. From what I can tell, the only consequence of this is that Barrett won't look hot for a little while. So when they remove the stakes of the movie, they remove the tension that's built. And thus the resolution of that tension feels so much less satisfying. I don't know if this makes sense, but I feel like I just rode a roller coaster with a blindfold on. And in my head, it felt like a massive ride. But then when I got off, I took my blindfold off and it was a kiddie coaster. So now, whether consciously or not, I look back and everything feels much less intense. This scene is so much less consequential because they didn't die. And you know it's bad because I don't even know what scene I'm gonna put there yet. Literally any of the 4 deaths would fit that description. On top of that, we have all of these characters and none of them matter. Like, they don't help move the plot forward, they don't help Lexi's character grow, and they don't help defeat the antagonist. They just wandered around and slowly dropped off over the course of 80 minutes. They kind of just filled time. Like, maybe Kevin as a character would matter more if his death was the only reason that Jessica survived, and that Jessica's death is the only reason that Lexi survived and was able to take out the security guard. But that's just not what happened. They were just there. They're basically extras that had way too many lines. This movie also just kind of feels like it thinks I'm stupid. Like, we didn't see all the others die, so yes, technically they could be alive, but we saw Jessica's head get squished like a grape. I don't care what you're trying to tell me, she didn't survive that. Oh, she survived that? Yeah, my goldfish ran away when I was a kid too. No, those two both have something in common. They're dead. Like, I know what I saw, but they couldn't figure out a better ending, so they just retconned Miss Presley back into existence, and thus everyone else was fine. Like, it's so bad. I could also go on about how the plot of this movie is so predictable. You know the mysterious murderer is the security guard in the first 5 minutes of the movie because he's the only other character that they introduced as being in this prison. And then while 6 of them are being attacked, we don't hear from the other one. Like, imagine if halfway through this movie, they stumbled upon the security guard's body. That would have made this movie actually a little bit decent. But what do I know? I don't know, I guess I shouldn't be too surprised that the writers who managed that ending weren't able to recognize probably the easiest way to add a twist to the movie. But just hopefully, I never have to watch a movie written by the two of them ever again. Wait, they only write Hallmark Christmas movies now? Fuck. Whoa, you made it to the end of the video. That's pretty cool. I make other ones. YouTube will probably recommend the one that's best for you. Also, shout out to these people who are on screen now. They are my patrons, they are super cool, they help support the channel, and most importantly, they get a bunch of cool perks for it. Early access, ad-free, bonus content. So if any of that sounds kind of cool, go check out my Patreon. And a special shout out to Paul, who's actually the one who recommended this to me. Alright, well, I probably should get going.